Right, morning. So I'm trying a video lesson from home to see if we can get this working. Basically, some of the questions that I'm getting on the email are kind of too hard to sort of do just from typing up and responding and this that, and the other. I thought there's some basic skills that you've been taught in class, or maybe some of you haven't been taught in class, that I could do in video format. So this is aimed to help you guys in improving your art and your design work. So today's main sort of lesson, it's only short, is just on tone. If you're in my art class, I'm always going on about tone, and you need more depth of tone, and this will get higher marks if you have more tone. And it's really the thing that separates the lower grades to stuff like your year 7 from your year 8, from year 9 to when you get up to GCSE. Tone is a massive thing. It's the difference between your 3s and your 4s and your 8s and your 9s. How well you can do tonal drawings will make a huge impact on your work. Even if your proportions aren't perfect, if your tone is good, it will bump your level up a lot. So tone is a huge factor in art, and it's a huge factor in design. We're trying to get ideas across. So in terms of what it is, essentially it's just adding a light source, and it's being able to record your shadows, your midtones, and your highlights. And those three things are the things we're going to focus on today. So the difference between a circle and a sphere, they've got the exact same outline. The difference is that a sphere is three-dimensional. It's like a ball. It's got shape to it. And the way we show that in drawings is by adding tone, by adding shadows to the right areas, by adding your midtones, and by using rubbers and that to get your highlights out. That's what's going to separate the circle from the sphere. So, like to give an example, if I use my hand, I'll put it at that angle. You can see there's a light kind of blue light on that side. And then you've got some mid-tones. Then the darkest areas of shadow are here, maybe a bit under there, and then it goes into this yellow light here. And that's just because of two light sources. If you were to be able to see that way, you'd see that I've got my window open, and that's natural blue sort of daylight coming through. Above me, I've got a yellow light, and that's where I'm getting these yellow tinges on there from. And if I was to draw that out, a low-grade drawing would maybe have the outline of the hand, a bit of that shadow there, bits of shadow on the fingers. Medium-grade drawing would probably have a band of blue, a band of the darker colour, and a band of yellow. And a good drawing, a high-scoring drawing, a drawing that's going to get lots of marks, will have a gradual blend between those. So it'll identify those areas and have a gradual blend. And I'll show you more about what I'm talking about in a second. So to start with, if we were to do a sphere, which I'll do a speed drawing of so you guys can see, the first thing you've got to have is you start with a circle. And then you've got to say, where's my light going to come from? So in this drawing here, let's just check you guys can see that. It might be all in reverse actually, I'm just thinking about it now, because I've got it on sort of selfie mode. But on this drawing here, I've got my circle, I've got the light source coming from that angle. So this portion here is going to be the lightest. Then I'm going to have a portion of mid-tones, and mid just means medium, so it's just kind of, it's not quite light, it's not white, and it's not shadow, which is as dark as you can push. So I have this mid-tones here, and then as it comes out, it's going to have the dark areas, okay, the areas of shadow, the areas that the light's not getting to. When the light hits it, it's also going to cast a shadow, so I draw that in. And I literally, to do that, all I've done is I've got a ruler, and I've lined it up from the angle the light source is coming up, and you notice it comes down to there, and I've got it that side of the ball as well, and it shows me that portion there. And then I draw that sort of oval sort of shape underneath. And again, shadows also have different like depths of tone, which I'll get into more. I'll explain that more in a sec. But basically, the closest part to the object is the darkest, then it goes medium, and as it goes further away, it starts to go light and fades out. Okay, so when you're doing your drawings, these sort of concepts are what you should be trying to work from. Now, as I said to you before, the difference between a sort of a lower grade and a medium grade is the fact that they can point out those different depths of tone. So and I said about banding, and this is what I mean. So if I look at the next stage, so the first stage is I've identified where the light's coming from, and I've pointed out where the light, medium, dark areas are. Now the next stage is then to sort of fill those in with my pencil. Okay, and this I'm always going on about people not having the depth of tone, and this is what I'm talking about. So depth of tone is this. My light bits are really light. My medium bits are medium, and my dark bits are really dark. Most people tend to be able to do, especially in the lower key stages, they tend to get either the light and the midtones right, or the dark and the midtones right, but they don't get all three. And getting all three and practicing all three is what's going to separate your work and get you to that next level. So if I was to look at this again, I've got a band of dark, a band of medium, and a band of white. And on my shadow that's cast, I've got a strip of medium, a band there, sorry, dark, medium, and light. Okay, I don't go white in this bit because it is a full shadow, all right? But the blend between those, they need to be smooth. It shouldn't be bands, they should be smooth. So there's different ways I can do this. I can get my pencil, so I'm going to just grab a pen here, just for the sake of it, and where that band ends and the white meets there, I can just start pushing slightly lighter. And over that line, I just go over that little line, and I gradually get that lighter, so that there's a gradual blend. Same with the dark. I'm not pushing as hard as I would in the dark, and I'm not pushing as light as I would in the medium area. So it's kind of midway between the two, and I just keep working over that line, all right, until it looks more gradual. Once I've done that, like if you ever look on my desks, you're always going to see like a tissue with ink on it, or a tissue with like pencil on it, or whatever. Because what I then tend to do is I'll take a tissue, although I know like sort of toilet paper is scarce at the minute, but whatever, you can use your finger if you want, and literally just start to gradually smooth that over. Okay, and that helps create a nice blend. But you can do that too much, and you want to be careful, because if you do it too much, you take away the dark from the dark and the light from the light, and you just get this mid-tone all over. You want to be a bit careful of that. Now, all it should look like, when you sort of finish, it should look more like that. Okay, it's maybe can't see the tones as clear on this because my camera's a bit dodgy, but there's a clear dark area, and that is as hard as you can push with the pencil, right? And this is where that you've got to be brave, because people tend to get real, like they put all their time in this decent drawing, then they get too like tentative. They don't want to push hard because they're like, oh, I'm gonna ruin it, I can't rub it out. You got to get over that. You've got to be brave with it. So that is as hard as I can push. All right, you could not make that darker. Like, it might look like it on the camera, but that is as absolutely dark as it can get. That is pure white. So how I've done this, and I'll show you a speed drawing in a second. I've drawn my circle, done my bands, and I've gradually gone over, and I've gradually gone lighter. Okay, and I've done the same with the shadow. Then I've taken a rubber for the highlights. So the dark bit's easy because I can just push really hard. Midtones, it's probably a little bit trickier because I've got to kind of balance how hard I'm pushing at different points. And then for the highlights, I've used a rubber, and I've just taken those edges away. Okay, and that gives me that point. That's where that light hits the object directly, bang. Okay. So if I'll give you an example of my big old bald head. Like, if you look on my head there, that's a highlight. It's pure white. Okay, it might be slightly like yellowy on this camera, but that is exactly where the light is hitting me. Then it goes medium, medium, dark, shadow under the eyes, etc. Okay? So you guys have to practice that, and you've got to practice getting it really dark, blending it gradually, and then at the end, taking off those highlights. On a sphere, one of the things you might notice as well, if you look at mine, I've got a slight white line there, and I've taken that off with a rubber, just a little piece at the bottom. And the reason I've done that is because what you tend to find is that when light hits the surface and bounces up slightly, so it's not as exaggerated as this, but you do tend to get a little bit of light come at the bottom just next to the shadow. All right, so that is something you might want to try. And the other thing is, if you're pushing really hard where the shadow is, and you're pushing hard on the shadow that's cast on the ground, sometimes it gets difficult to tell where the shadow from the ground meets the shadow of the sphere. So by adding that little sort of highlight strip, it just helps separate the shape from the shadow that's cast. Okay, So that's something I want you guys to try out. Doesn't matter what you're drawing. So this is like a real basic exercise. It's just drawing a sphere. You can I would suggest you try different shapes. Like type on the internet, look up a cylinder, look up a pyramid, do a sphere, look up a square. Because the way light hits square objects is totally different to rounded objects. It's harder doing a rounded object than it is a square object. And I'll do that. I'll do another lesson on that in a bit. But for now, I want you to practice the sphere. But any drawing you are doing, like if you take a photo of a face or you take a hand, look at the amount of light and stuff hitting that hand. Like if you did something like that, I want you to practice depth of tone. So I want you to do these dark areas dark, push hard. I want you to do these medium areas, all the different grades. You might have 50 different types of shade in there, and the light areas leave white. So what you'll find is that by doing this mix of tone, by doing this real dark and this real light and getting this real contrast, your drawings will have more visual impact. They'll stand out more. They'll look better. So I want you guys to try that. Okay? Cool. See you all later. Stay safe.